Ok, estamos online.
Hey guys, good evening. My name is Anderson. I'm sorry for the delay. We having some issues here connecting to with the first speaker. He's in Brazil, and we're trying to use StreamYard and connect everything. So yeah, we have a bunch of chairs here. You're free to grab any chair to move. If it's not enough, we have more chairs back behind those curtains. So feel free to move the furniture. This space is ours. We're just finishing everything here to start with the first lecture here. Thank you.
Então, foi. Bom, eles estão vendo aqui, Vector Database. Né? Eu queria só deixar full screen, mas não dá?
Você consegue deixar...
Tenta minimizar teu usuário aí.
Tem como não exibir a minha?
Não, minimiza, tenta minimizar aí. Clica aqui, aí vai ter um botão minimizar. Agora eu fiz comigo.
Peraí. Não adianta eu minimizar que não vai resolver.
Ah, beleza.
É isso.
Beleza, bora.
Tem opção de cartão, não tem?
Aí, ó, já foi.
Ah, sim,
Ah, é.
bom. Pode fazer isso.
Aham. Pergunta se ele tá pronto. O Amazonas, tá pronto aí? Ele tá ouvindo a gente?
Eu vou ficar com esse aqui para poder auxiliar as pessoas.
Tá ouvindo a gente? So, hello everyone.
Tem delay.
Fala com ele que a gente consegue.
Nós temos um delay, mas estamos chovendo sim.
Pode ir?
Manda ver.
Okay. So, thank everyone for coming. This is the first, really first event for the Calgary Tech Talk, and that's why we consider to have some problems. But I mean, hopefully the next time it won't happen. We have Gabriel Amazonas, so he will talk about vector databases. And my name is Julio, by the way. Me and Anderson, we started this initiative about this meetup because we really love technology. We are developers, so we know that a community is the best thing that we can have. And yeah, so we are really excited about this project and hope you all enjoy these events. So thank you so much. Again, sorry about the, let's say, problem that we have. Yeah, so let's start. 1 second. Oi, pode começar. Ele tá mutado aí? Acho que você tá mutado. Muta aí.
Não, não tem problema. Meu microfone aqui não tem problema. Ele precisa ouvir lá. Só ele começar.
Ele falou que não consegue. Amazing. Thank you so much, Amazonas. Hello, hello. Okay. Can you hear us? Nice, perfect. So, does anyone have some question? Nice, we have a question here. I mean, oh, sorry about that. Oh, yeah.
Hello, thank you for your amazing presentation. It was interesting and it was also insightful. I have a question. That you mentioned the size of the vector to be 1,000. How does that affect the accuracy of the classification? Does it improve the accuracy, or does it if I reduce the size of the vector, or how do you decide that? Yes. Is it fair to say that increasing the vector size positively up to a certain extent affects the accuracy? Because I know that if I keep on increasing, it could go downwards and then skip the maxima or the minima for minimizing the error. Makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense now.
We have another one.
Okay, okay, got it. Right. Thank you, Gabriel, for the presentation. It was pretty good. I just have one question. When you started this presentation, we ended up discussing a lot about vectors, and if I remember correctly, this is something which we studied in university. So my question is, when you start preparing for your interviews and all that stuff, you have a lot of searching and sorting involved, and you have to optimize on those things. So when we are talking about vectors and we initiate a size of, let's say, thousands, so I just want to understand on what basis do the search mechanism work here, because you don't have the ability to optimize that search. And if you're searching something similar, how does that search work in terms of optimization? Yeah, yeah, it does, it does. So just one more, just one more. Uh, so let's say when you start working with vectors, you also need to have the knowledge of how backtracking works in case you don't find what you need. Do those backtracking mechanisms work differently for videos or text or images, what we saw here? So let's say when you are traversing through a vector and you want to hit some nodes, but then after hitting four nodes, you realize, okay, this is not what I'm searching for. So now you backtrack all those steps and start a new searching process. That's what I'm interested in. If those mechanisms work differently from text and the videos and all those different types of formats. Yeah, yeah, it does. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. He was also asking.
Yeah. So just to elaborate on the backtracking part. What's your name? Lavish. So yeah, Lavish mentioned about backtracking, and from your presentation, what I understand is the way that vectors are compared is through functions, mathematical functions, so, and that happens on a pairwise basis. So for probably the vectors are first sorted, and then on a pairwise basis, a mathematical function computes on them, and then we get a result. So backtracking when doing vector comparison is not relevant here, I feel. Is that correct? Because in the end, we what we have is a mathematical value. That's all. We are not doing those conventional search algorithms where we do it node by node.
Hi, Gabriel. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, can you choose the method to compare the vectors? You mentioned that there were like six in the particular code you show us. Can you select which one to use? Is there any difference in the accuracy if you change it? Okay, awesome. Thank you.
More questions? Nope. Yeah, we have an online question, Gabriel. So 1 second. So it's from Rafael, and the question is, what model and library are you using to generate the embeddings? Nice. So thank you very much, Gabriel. We don't have any questions anymore. So yeah, thank you. So let's go to the next presentation. It's called Understanding CQRS from the Beginning. So I will do that, and hopefully I'm better like explaining CQRS than configuring a microphone. So let's see. Yes. So basically, what means CQRS? But before talking about CQRS, let's talk about me a little bit, just to you to well understand who am I. So basically, my name is Julio. I'm 30 years old, 31 years old, Brazilian. So I have a wife and two amazing kids. So I work with software development for the last 13 years already, and right now I'm playing the role of software architecture and tech lead in a company called Impay. Impay is a Danish company, fintech, and basically we just move money around the world, and we are basically growing a lot in the European scenario, and of course we are also expanding to the world market. Yeah, so I also lived in Brazil, Denmark, and Italy, and I just landed in Calgary a month ago. So I'm pretty new in the city, and I have to say I'm loving Calgary. So this is something really, really nice, especially for my kids. And yes, so right now I work. Across those years, I've been working with a lot of different technologies, but right now my main languages are Ruby and Microsoft Azure, but I have to say that I love Java. Actually, I have a Java tattoo in my leg, so yeah, I really love Java. But yeah, that's why the examples I did here. So I don't have time for a live code because the presentation is a little bit big, but I will share with you the GitHub with this presentation after this meetup. Yeah, I don't know what I did because I have it. So nice. But before talking about CQRS, I would like to talk about monolithic architecture in order to explain the different type of architecture and why do we actually need CQRS in our environment. So basically, monolithic architecture refers to a traditional software design where all components and functionalities are integrated. So it means that we don't have like different services to do different operations. So we have just one big box, and inside this big box, we are deploying like UI and everything together. So basically, this is like a diagram for a monolithic architecture. In this example, we have like product management logic, we have authentication logic and user interface. Everything inside one big, let's say, box. And this big box is actually connecting to the database. In some cases, this is really bad, but I still think that this is a really let's say, spot for monolithic applications in the market, especially when we're talking about MVPs. So MVPs like minimal valuable products. And one of the benefits about monolithic architecture is because it's really easy to create, it's really easy to deploy. So we don't need like a fancy architecture, like, I don't know, like we don't need to spend a huge amount of money like Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud Platform, or even at AWS, to deploy a monolithic architecture. So it's easy to debug. So when you have a problem, and we know that we'll have when you deploy software to production, it's really easy to track it because, you just need to put some breakpoints and that's it. We don't need to handle different services, right? But of course, we have drawbacks. And the first drawback, that basically is the main reason to go to another architecture type. It's called, it's the scalability. It means that, let's say that we are receiving a huge amount of traffic in our in our monolithic application. How can we scale that? It's really hard because we cannot, the only way that we can scale that, we can add more memories, we can like do a vertical scaling. So basically, it's really hard to use monolithic architectures for like heavy load applications. And yes, of course, another thing that we commonly see in the market is that monolithic applications, they will turn into legacy applications because it's really hard when you have like a big application where you have everything together. It's really hard to upgrade. So that's why we see a lot of companies is still using Java 8 because it's really hard to basically upgrade that. Now that we know what is a monolithic architecture, let's talk about microservices architecture. So basically, microservice architecture, we have the same idea about like segregate stuff. And then when we are talking about, when we're using the last example, basically, let's convert the monolithic application that we have into a microservice architecture. And then instead of having everything together in one big box, now we have three different services. We have the product management service, we have the authentication service, and we have the user interface. So it means that now we have three different small applications. And in order to have the full feature, they will integrate between them. And in order to explain how they will integrate between them, I'm going to do a logical flow here. And of course, they have their own database, so it means that we can easily segregate the data context as well. So it's a really nice approach when we are talking about domain-driven design and something like this. So let's follow the logical flow. So let's say that I have a user, and this user wants to log into a website. So basically, the UI will send an HTTP request to the authentication service in order to validate the credentials. And then since this is like a synchronous operation, the authentication service will accept or deny this request. In our case, it will accept. And basically, it will return and say that, okay, you're logging in a credential, you're logging in a password, the credentials are okay. Now, here is your authentication token. Nice. So knowing that, the user now will go to a dashboard or something like this in our application, in our UI. So the user wants to navigate to the product page in order to see all products that we are offering. And then the user interface will send HTTP request, so it is a GET request for the product services. So this is the first interaction of product services so far. And then it will send the authentication token. The product service, in order to validate this token, will communicate with authentication service and say, okay, I received a request, here's my token, is it valid? So if it is valid, the authentication service will validate the token, and then after that, the user, the product management service will return to the UI request with the requested product. So yes, we can see some benefits about doing that. One of the benefits is scalability, so we can scale them separately. So let's say that I'm getting like a half load in, I don't know, in the product side, I can scale the product side, or let's say that I have like more microservices connect to the authentication services, so I can put more instances to the authentication service to, serve every microservice here. So this is a really nice approach to scale our microservices applications. Another thing is like flexibility in technology, because when I have something like this, I can create, for example, my authentication services using Java or other technology, and I can create my product manager services, for example, using another technology, I don't know, Ruby or something like this. Yes, we also have other benefits like independent deployment. So let's say that I have a bug in my product, I don't know, some feature inside my product service. I don't need to deploy everything. I just need to deploy my product management services, fixing the bug, and that's it. So it's kind of, it gives us more, let's say, productivity when we are like faster reaction to the situations in our daily basis, like deploying a feature or things like this. So the agility is also another nice thing. Drawbacks. When we're talking about microservice architecture, the first thing is like complexity. Because before, we had just one application and everything was there. So integration with database, everything was there. user interface. But now, no. Now we have three different services, and we have to communicate between those services, create a communication between those services, and we also have to handle and manage those services. So let's say that we are talking about, we are going to deploy this microservice architecture in AWS, for example, and we want to use like Kubernetes or, some container management to handle the life cycle of these services and apps. So we must have like, let's say, a robust architecture to serve our purpose, meaning that it's not that simple to just deploy, for example, a fat jar to any kind of cloud and it will work. So we have to handle these kind of communications, VNets, and security, and it's kind of more complicated. And of course, the testing scenario is also something that it's hard. Sometimes it's hard because, for example, let's say that we had just unit tests for our monolithic application. Now we must have different type of tests, like integration tests, contract testings. So it gives us more complexity. So it's always a trade-off. If I have like a benefit, definitely I will have a drawback in our architecture. Yes, of course, monitoring is again another problem, because now instead of monitoring just one application, now I have to monitor three different applications. So meaning that I have to have also distributed monitoring, because we are now doing a lot of requests between the services. So if you want to track a request from the beginning, we must have something called like a distributed tracing. So yeah, so definitely it's more complex to handle microservice architecture than a monolithic architecture. Nice. Now that we understand what is a microservice, let's talk about EDA. That's like event-driven architecture. When we are talking about event-driven architecture, basically we are talking about to replace some operations, of course not all of them, but some operations, to asynchronous operation. So basically, EDA is really powerful. It's a really powerful design pattern in software architecture that help us in scalability, flexibility, and responsiveness by decoupling our components. Because if we go back here, for example, I'm saying that the product management service knows the authentication service, right? So there is like a coupling between them. But now when I'm talking about EDA, the idea is to remove these, it's to decouple those services. And it's really nice because it gives us also more fault tolerance when we are talking about our services. And here is another example to talk about EDA. So basically, in this case here, I have like a shipping service, an order service, a payment service, a notification service, and a message broker, and a database. So as you can see, we should not use like event-driven architecture for something that's really simple. So I want to release an MVP, something that, I have to prove my concept. Probably if you go to use this, you're going to lose your time to market, right? So you're going to try to find like the perfect architecture, and someone probably will release the product before you. So you must use event-driven architecture only when you have a problem. So trying to not over-engineering your architecture. So in order to explain that, how it works, I will use the logical flow again. So let's say that I have a user, and this user wants to buy something in our e-commerce or platform. So okay, the order service, when the user click to buy the product, the order service here will send an event to our message broker that can be can be a RabbitMQ, a Kafka, depends on your architecture, and saying that okay, order placed. It's really important to mention that when we are talking about events, we should talk about past actions, right? So it means that I will not send an event say, place an order or something like this. So it's all about some command that was already executed by the service. So now I'm sending the event, say order placed event, to the message broker. And then this is the beauty of EDA. Now the order service basically doesn't know who will take that, because it's not his responsibility to understand, the next step of the flow, right? So we have another component called the payment service. The payment service has interest in the order place event. So it will consume this event, saying that, okay, I got an event from order place, I want to respond to this event. And then it will take the payment services, like consume this order place event, and then the payment service will process the payment. I don't know if you go to call like a process payment gateway or like PayPal, something like this. After that, the payment services will publish another event saying that payment confirmed. Can be like payment denied as well, but for this example, I'm going to use the payment confirmed. And then, again, the payment services doesn't know who will answer this event, so who will consume this event. And then let's say that I have a guy called shipping service, but the shipping service really wants to consume the payment confirmed event because the responsibility of the shipping services is actually prepare the shipping of your product that you just bought, right? And then the shipping services will consume the payment confirmed event, will process the dispatch of the order item, but in parallel. So that's another thing that's really nice about EDA. So at the same time that I have like services, like an application consuming an event, I can also have another application consuming the same event in parallel, right? So I'm not blocking at all the user. So the flow is like a smooth flow. And then the other service will pick up this event and then will update the order status saying that, payment confirmed or something like this. Another guy that is really interested in this payment confirmed is the notification service. So the notification service will consume this event in parallel. So now we have 3 different services consuming the same event in order to do 3 different operations. So the notification service will consume this event and will send a notification to the user, like an email or SMS, I don't know, saying that, okay, your payment status is like confirmed or denied, something like this. Nice. And then, after the payment, the shipping service execute process the dispatch of this item, it will publish an event saying that shipment dispatched. So now it means that our order was dispatched. And who is interested in this guy here? Basically, we have another service. It's called the order service again. So the order service will consume this event in order to update the order status. So the order status before was payment confirmed. Now the order status is like item dispatched or something like this. But in parallel, our notification service will also consume this event and send a notification to the user saying that, okay, I got your payment. We already sent the notification payment. Now I'm sending to you the dispatch notification saying that, okay, your product will arrive, I don't know, in 10 days or something like this. And this is really nice because we're talking about like a big flow here. If we wanted to do this like in a synchronous way, let's say that it will block the end user having like a huge loading in his UI, saying that, okay, waiting everything. So I don't know, 10 minutes to process an item. So it's like unacceptable when we're talking about user experience, right? So that's why this is a really nice stuff. And because it's really resilient. So let's say that my notification service is down. So this is not a crucial service to process the payment. So if I have my notification services down, I still can process orders. So it means that right now I have like a resilient architecture. Yes, so again, we have the same benefit about microservices, like the scalability. So let's say that I have like other components, other services that they are communicating with the payment services. So I can increase the number of instances for the payment service. So it means that I can scale the payment services without touching in order services or shipment services. So nice. Of course, we have drawbacks again. And the biggest drawback about an EDA is something called data consistency. So since we're talking about asynchronous event, it's really hard to ensure that every database will be synced, right? Because we have this event, the data consistency problem right now. And that's really important that we have mentioned when we are developing services in an EDA architecture. We must create our services with like hypothesis strategy. So what is an hypothesis strategy? It means that if my payment services, for example, receive this order placed even twice, I will not charge the user twice because I know already that this event here was already processed. So this is really important to have in mind when we are developing our services in an EDA architecture. And of course, the learning curve, it's complicated. Because I mean, we're talking about a really, not a really, but I mean, this is like a simple example, of course, but we can have like, when you're talking about fintech's world, it can be huge. We can have like hundreds, I mean, of microservices here communicating between them. And for example, we can have a cluster of message brokers. So right now, I only have one message broker. But if we're going to perform like a a really heavy operation, we can like increase I mean, we can scale our message broking, have a cluster of message broker, or we can have like, I don't know, a cluster of RabbitMQ, for example. Yes, now that we kind of understand what is like an event-driven architecture, let's talk about CQRS. That's like a really simple concept in software architecture. And basically, CQRS, or Common Query Responsibility Segregation, is a pattern in software architecture that separates the responsibility of commands and queries. The main idea inside CQRS is to have, I mean, of course, we are not going to use CQRS when we are like talking about monolithic applications, right? So when we have like a huge amount of requests that can block our user operation, we must use CQRS, because here, in this example, we are splitting. Let's say that we have a service called comments. And for example, let's talk about Instagram. So Instagram uses a lot CQRS. And let's talk about the comments. So we have a post, like a photo from, I don't know, Neymar. And then we'll have like a lot of people posting comments in this photo. And we're going to have a lot of people reading these comments. So we cannot block them to add comments, and we cannot block them to read the comments, right? And that's why I'm going to use this example here because I think it's simple to understand. Let's say that I have my REST client. So let's talk about like, this is my React application, for example. And then I'm going to separate commands. That basically commands is like a post, put, patch, and delete operation, like an action, to the get, to the get request, that it is a read operation. So again, I'm going to use the logic flow to explain that. So basically, let's say that I have a user who wants to add a comment in one post. So basically, the REST client will send a post request to the command service. So the command service handler will get this HTTP request, will perform the request, meaning that it will create the comment, and then it will publish an event to the message broker saying that, okay, I just did one operation, and this operation was comment create event. Now, in order to sync my database, the query service will consume this event here and will perform the same operation in his database. So it means that it will sync both databases here. The beauty about that is because we can have different databases. So it means that, for example, here the benefits, of course, but I want to do this. So let's say that I wanted to have a really robust database for like write operations. So I can have, for example, Cassandra here, and on this side, I can have an Elasticsearch. So because it's like a optimized database for like queries. And I can have like the beauty of the two worlds in one single architecture. Again, can we use with the same database? Yes, we can, and then we don't need this event stuff. So for example, if you want to use a Postgres here, we can use the simple main replica replication, and then we don't need to send an event and consume the event. But when we are talking about CQRS, I mean, normally we are applying a CQRS in an event sourcing strategy. I don't want to talk about event source here because I mean it's a really complex scenario, but I mean hopefully next time I can talk about this. But we should have in mind that we should not perform in this kind of architecture. We should not do this if you don't have the problem. So again, let's not over-engineering our architecture. So because we're going to spend a huge amount of money here. So again, I'm splitting one service into two services. So it means that now I'm paying more money for my cloud provider to have like the same thing, right? So we should only do this when we really need to do this, right? When actually it hurts. And that's why I would like to talk about monolithic applications first, because I like the idea to not over-engineering. I mean, our let's say our work, right? Okay, so yes, again, the main drawback about this is to sync the database. So again, if we're talking about, let's say, a hospital system that like every millisecond will count, we should not use this because I mean this can create like eventual consistency. So it means that let's say that I created the data here, and maybe it will take like some milliseconds to update my Elasticsearch database. So if I really want, like, if every millisecond counts in our I don't know product, we should rethinking about it. And yes, so questions? I mean, it's just a joke, please. I mean, if you have any difficult questions and I don't know the answer, I promise that I will try to find an answer to you. So, yeah.
In the CQRS model, what does the message broker actually do?
The message broker will be responsible to get the event. To get the event that it was performed. So in this example here, I'm talking about created event. So the message broker would be the, let's say, the resilient approach to ensure that our query database will be in sync with our write database. Again, we don't need a message broker in this case. Normally we use Kafka here because like it's a distributed stream platform. But again, if you have Postgres and Postgres in both sides, you can use a replica strategy. So you don't need to have a message broker. But if you want to really use like the full power of CQRS, we should have different database here. So again, one optimized in write strategy and one optimized in query strategy.
Thank you.
Welcome.
What is the recommended way for authentication?
Sorry, can you?
Authentication.
Authentication. So basically, in this case here, I'm not handling authentication. So we are talking about authentication between the services in general, right? I mean, in this case specifically, you can, before process your post request, you can validate your token, right? Saying that, let's say that the REST client here will send a token for you, and then we'll have the authentication service, and we following the same idea that we did in the microservice strategy. And then before process the action, you should go to the authentication service and then perform the, let's say, validation of the credentials. But again, this is up to your architecture. So let's say that you have, I don't know, you have these services here inside a really secure VNet that can only be accessed by, I don't know, a guy that it is inside this VNet. I mean, it's up to you to decide which kind of authentication factor you're going to use. Or you can also use like a single sign-on. So if you have, for example, Keycloak, that's really famous, you can do the same. So your authentication service here in this case will be the Keycloak. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of up to you to decide which kind of strategy about security you're going to use. You can use like a tons of the like client certificate pinning. So there's a lot of like strategy for security that you can apply in this API here.
Tá de volta, viu?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. This is very interesting for me because I'm trying to do something similar. I have a high volume of IoT streams coming in, and I can either serve them quickly or I can either write them quickly. I did think of a distributed design like this, where I would have two databases. One would be a Postgres database and for writing, and the other one would be a file format,
Okay.
a compressed file format, such as Parquet.
Parquet, yeah.
Right. For now, I'm not going ahead with design because I came across certain limitations that you've mentioned already. Eventual consistency, the other thing being synchronization. So I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for me to get to know if you've implemented this design in your company, what challenges did you face related to synchronization?
Yes, so basically, I worked in a huge Brazilian bank. It's called PagSeguro, and we implemented that. But all of this was not enough for our case. We also had to implement something called cyber pattern in order to fix this eventual consistency stuff. Basically, the cyber pattern here, in this case, will play the role to ensure that our basically database will be sync, and if something happens wrongly, we can easily roll back the chain of events. So again, we had the same issue because we're not talking about money, so it's really complicated to have like event consistency. So we use cyber pattern to handle this. I can send to you like an example about cyber pattern. So, but I mean, it's not difficult. We have two ways to implement cyber pattern. One is called choreography way, and another is called orchestration. So basically, they have the same idea in order to create a chain of events and easily roll back the events if something happens. So it will ensure that the database will be synced, but it will not ensure that the database will be synced immediately, right? So we still have like some seconds about delay or milliseconds. And in this case, for example, in your case, you have to create a data pipeline here. You have to create something called, the ETL in order to transform your data to like a Parquet. So because you are going to get like plain texts, I don't know, from your Postgres, and then you have to run like a data pipeline, I don't know, Apache-NiFi, or I use it a lot, Apache-NiFi, I really like Apache-NiFi. But you can use like, data flow or something like this in order to perform your ETL and then ensure that your databases will be in sync. But yeah.
I decided to drop your URL pattern. I didn't know it had a name. The reason being, as I already mentioned, so what I went ahead for now is to use streaming service as a mid design plug and play model where I can implement streaming service. For now, I'm just using the Amazon Synthesis firewall. It's easy for me to get started. And just aggregate all the incoming streams of data and dump it into object storage into the S3 bucket. But because it's Parquet, it's hard for me to write or update the data. So I decided to use a table format on top all my Parquet files.
Okay. Okay.
There's three video formats, mainly the Delta, I12, and Ruby. So they kind of build an abstraction on top of those files, and you can use those Parquet files as a database.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, let's talk about we have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a lot of ways to implement CQRS, and I think this is the beauty of software architecture, right? Nothing is written in stone, so you can just get an idea about one architecture design and then see your need and then implement I don't know, the CQRS in a way that will benefit you, like specifically. And I mean, but that's why I love like software architecture.
I would also come back to you later on.
Definitely, I mean, my pleasure. Yeah, definitely, my pleasure. And thanks. More questions?
Hello. First of all, CRS seems to be a little depend on message broker. So whenever the message broker is going down, you can see the program failure. So how can actually minimize that? Because when you actually get the message broken down, you can actually synchronize automatic services and all kind of stuff. That's if the lyrics cannot be fast because the processes, how can you actually do that and be sure that all the stuff in the process.
Nice. This is a really nice question. And when we have a situation like this is not a problem only for CQRS, this is a problem also for EBA. The main idea here is to have a cluster of message brokers. So not have like just one single instance about RabbitMQ, because if this instance go down, sorry. But if you have a cluster of RabbitMQs, I don't know, running 3, 4 instances, if one go down, another one will take the place. And for example, for Kafka, we have something called Zookeeper. And the Zookeeper will play this role to ensure that we always have an instance in our cluster that will be responsible to say that, okay, I'm alive, okay, so you can send events right here. So yeah, really nice code. Or you can just use like a manager service. I don't know, PubSub, Azure PubSub, or like Kinesis or something like this, the best Kinesis. And then you're kind of sure that it would not go down because this is a manager service for your cloud provider. So you're kind of safe in this side. But if you don't want to create a vendor lock-in, meaning that I don't want to use, let's say, the manager service about my cloud, so I want to have the flexibility to change cloud providers whenever I want, yeah, you should create the cluster and manage the cluster by your own. So this is like a strategy to not, to not have a problem in your message broker in this case.
Questions? Thanks so much for the nice presentation.
Thank you.
So I might have a different set of questions. I didn't think CQS is one of the projects or it was a great CQS order, but it was a microservice application and we never used different databases.
Okay.
A single database was lacking. So coming back to your world of over-engineering, would you say that it is actually over-engineering? Or is it completely fine that if you are using microservice architecture, still use database for the separation of concerns?
Yeah, you can have it, but you're not using the full power of microservices, right? Because let's say that you have a problem in your database, both services will stop working. So you have a single point of failure in your case. If you really want to segregate, let's say create like a bounded context following DDD, you must have two different databases because now we can say that they are the couple. So they are not coupled anymore. Because in this case, using the same database, I already saw that in the companies that I worked for. Yeah, you have a single point of failure. So, it's kind of complicated to say that, okay, it's not a microservice. It is a microservice, but you have a point here because if your database goes down, you have like high coupled services.
So that means if you are using CQRS, the better strategy is to only use it in a distributed environment.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. More questions?
More questions?
Online questions? Nope. Online questions? Nope. I think that's it. So thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate. Again, sorry about the beginning of the the meetup. We had some issues with microphone, and yes, let me see. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you. I was ready for it. Now we have a really interesting talk. Thank you so much. Here. Oh yeah. Você quer que
Tem que usar os dois microfones.
Não sei o que será.
Uhum.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Eduardo Luz. I will be presenting some lessons learned from my experience and from some experience that I help people migrating or getting jobs here in Canada. So, first of all, who are you? As I said, Eduardo Luz. I have a master's degree in computer science, a bachelor in computer science as well. I've been working with software development for more than 25 years. And also I found some startups, some companies back in Brazil, helped some advisor here in Canada as well, and mentor in Mentoring Club. It's a European organization. And there I've been helping people for around the world. I think the only place that I haven't met anyone yet was from Australia and that area, Oceania in general. So one curiosity, I am a scouter and amateur radio as well. Some things that are not so common nowadays. So I will start this presentation, and just for you to understand, with a little bit of my experience back in Brazil, a little bit of my experience here in Canada, and then some hints that as I said, personally helped me a lot and help other people as well. So this is my city, Florianopolis. It's well-known city in Brazil. It's very small city, but it's very beautiful. Okay, I am born and I was raised there. And I don't know if you can see, but anyways, 1994, I started in software development, mostly in BASIC and other technologies. Until 1998, I started to work with mainframes, COBOL, this sort of stuff. 2001, I founded my first company. It was a startup, although on that time, there was no, we haven't used it in Brazil, the term of startup, okay? But it was a first company there. And I can say that in general, we did a lot of wrong things, messed up a lot. We've helped me learn as well to help other people in the future. We will see a little bit. 2001 to 2002, I was teacher, and I work as a public employee from 5 years as well. Then, in 2008, I get back to entrepreneurial career, where I got until 2016. In the middle of this journey, especially the last step, I started to mentor people to migrate to IT. Also, I was advisor of some startups in Brazil, and I started my dream or my plan to come to Canada. Now, we have a little bit of interleave here, but my journey in Canada. So in 2015, as I said, I started my first visit. I came, essentially, I visited San Francisco, then Vancouver, Calgary, and then Toronto. It was 1.5 months of journey to look and see, find places, connect with people, and try to decide which place my family and I would come. In 2017, we landed to Vancouver, where I got my first job at Counterpath. 2021, I moved here to Calgary during the pandemic. And I got my second job, which was for Quest Global, in 2022. My third jobs at Mercados. And finally, all of them remote jobs, okay? Except the first one where I was there and there was no reason to be remote until I came to Calgary, where I started to be remote. Finally, this year, I started as instructor in SAIT and at Checkfront, okay? So you can see a couple of jobs, and this is, bear with me because this is something that is important as well, the number of jobs. So before we get into the hints, it's important. I would like just to see here, if you, raise your hand if you are immigrant, just to have an idea here. Okay, perfect. So probably some points here you can relate to yourself, okay? You don't need to raise your hand if you relate, okay? So first of all, personal adaptation. I have to see my sheet here because I have a lot of points and I don't want to miss anyone here, so, okay? I will not be reading the slides, not this one, but the first point is why you are here, okay? Do you have strong motives, desires, why you are here, why you want to immigrate, okay? This is, if you don't have a strong motive to be here, it's very likely at the first problem that you face, you can come back, okay? Second thing about this point is, if you come with your family, are you all agreed that this is what you want? I saw a lot of families or breaking or returning to their countries because they don't have agreement among them, okay? This is very, very important. And another point is important is about how you adapt, how do you accept the culture, the local. And this is something that I will mix with other point soon. Second thing is about communication. And this is serious because in general, we have that imposter syndrome that we think that we don't speak very well. And in fact, we may not speak very well. The thing is, I learned that we have to communicate better, not necessarily to speak perfectly, okay? And this is one lesson that I learned, not that we have to speak as wrong and is everything okay. No, we are learning, okay? But when we came to Canada, I was very afraid to do what I am doing here. To make a presentation, speak even among some natives, and it's very, very hard. It was very, very hard for me, okay? So I encourage you to do this sort of things. If you are studying, it's much better because you have this, sometimes you have to make presentations and put yourself in this spot. It's very important, okay? Another thing is, yeah, don't worry about grammar. Is not the most important. You have to communicate, okay? Transmit your ideas. Another point is about the Canadian experience. This is a bit tricky because in our area, not always is required this Canadian experience. And what this means? Well, what I can see is that this Canadian experience means that you know the culture you are inserting. So let me give you an example. In Brazil, we have a very harsh environment of the professional environment. So what this means is you have to produce a lot to get hired and keep in your job. You have to be very competitive. And what this means is if you don't accept to start to keep working late because you are delivering a project that is not that important, but you have to show that you are interested in keep working, you feel that you may be replaced. You can lose your job, okay? Well, I didn't see anything like that here in Canada on these almost 8 years. And quite the opposite. What I saw is the companies want you to do your job during your working hours and then go home. Relax. Okay? So this is one thing that I saw in the culture, and I believe that part of this Canadian experience is linked not only this, but because you know the company knows that you are used to all things about this culture. And also you have reference. You know, if I am hiring someone, I know that I can trust someone will tell about you. Will say how is your work, how you behave in the company. Okay, and we'll get back soon on this point as well. So this is mixed with what I already saw. Okay, and about this challenge, one thing that I want to highlight here is very, very important. It's very, let's say, comfortable for us to meet people from our countries, from our people, and stay with them because it's easier. Okay? This is a phenomenon that I found. I can say that is very, quite often. And what I want to say is don't do that so much. Try to mix, try to connect with others. And this is not only for work, it's for life. Because you are living in a country where you want to grow, where you want to get a job, where you want to grow your kids, and you want to connect with more people. It's good for you, it's good for your kids, it's good for everyone. And more people knowing you, knowing how you work, this networking helps you to grow and not only get stuck in your community, local community, okay? So this will improve your English communication, the culture, opportunities, and so on, okay? And immigration. I used to say one thing that is important, is PR, it's one goal, but it's not a goal. It's not the goal, okay? Because there is life after the PR. I saw a lot of people, and PR for those with the permanent residents, I saw a handful of people who try as much as possible find ways to get the so desired PR. So they decided to find a career that could get easier. Perfect. But the problem is, after they get the PR, they had no clue what to do. For example, they got made a degree university in some area, which was easier to get a PR. But after that, was harder to get a job because they were not experts on that area. So this is one thing that I call your attention, okay? And one phrase that I found, I heard from a Canadian who helped me even before on my first visit was that, quote, may have better ways to immigrate, find yours. Okay, so be sincere. Don't try to find one way that is not truly yours way to get your immigration. Okay. Another challenge. Yeah, that's it. And frauds, which here I want to highlight two things. One is about the false recruiters. Okay, so be aware of that. This is a challenge. We are looking for immigrate. Oh, something. I think something. Não aconteceu nada. Okay, thank you. About these frauds, we have two things that one is about the false recruiters, okay, who will reach you to try to get your money, okay, or something like that. Another one is when you get a job, but this job is offered for a company which want to explore you. So give you lower wages, no benefits, and they will help you with your immigration process, but will lock your status here in Canada, and then because you are afraid of getting fired, because otherwise you will be you have to get back to your country. Okay, so this is some challenges that we can face here. All of them I found in my personal experience or experience from other people who I met. Now, linking to your first IT job and some considerations. Okay, there are two types of jobs. Be aware of that. First of all, pay the bills job. And pay the bill jobs essentially are those jobs that you want to work because you want to get the money. That's it. You have no other opportunity, and you have to work it. Okay, and that there are those green jobs that on companies that you like, companies that you think that okay, I would love to work on that company. Okay, so we'll talk about those. About other consideration, know yourself, what you are good at. Especially, this is in my experience. In Brazil, we are very generalistic. I don't know about you, but we have to work a lot in different areas. So if I have to present my resume, It's very wide experience. So the thing is, I can program in Ruby. Yeah, I can. I have a little knowledge about that, but I can trust that I can get a job and work as a senior developer in Ruby. No, I don't. But when we are looking for a job, we sometimes we accept not the challenge, but we step in this kind of situation, this context where we are going to something that we are not so good at. So first of all, try to find what you are good at, what are your weaknesses, and be bold. Again, don't step out because you are not sure that you can get that job, but be sincere. Don't lie. Okay? And very, very important thing, networking. And networking does not mean you connect to someone on LinkedIn. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking to be present. And to be present, I mean constantly talking to people, constantly show what you can do. Try to find what those people need and try to help them. This is networking. Okay, so if you find someone who are looking for a job and you know a job who can fit for their profile, you can connect, make these bridges. This is networking. Now, landing your first IT job. The process that I use is based on this sentence. Now, your job now is to find a job. What this means, you are full-time looking for a job, okay? Because you have some steps. First of all, research. And on the research, you have to look. Okay, first of all, remember those dream jobs versus pay-the-bill jobs? The research, you will have a little time on the pay-the-bill jobs, looking on Indeed, LinkedIn, and so on. So looking for jobs, but on the dream jobs, let's say example, let's see that's, for example, your dream company is to work to IBM, okay? And you are researching. So what do you research? You will research about the company, the products, the position that you are applying to, okay? You are researching the people who are working there, the person who is recruiting, if you possible, okay? Try to connect with key people there, okay? And make questions, ask questions, okay? Ask questions about how is work there, what is the problems that they have, and these kind of things. Of course, you will spend some time on that. On the paid-bill jobs, you can spend maybe 15 minutes each job posting, but for the dream job, you can spend hours or more, okay? The next part is the application itself. And now, this is the most important part, because the application is where you are putting your intention to work there. And on the application, remember the last part on the research, if you connect it to someone? This is the part where you can ask for a referral. And I can say, I am pretty sure that you have more chances to get a job if you are a referral for someone who works there. Okay? 100% of times that I saw people getting a job, or it was easier Of course, not all people that I know I met was from referral, but all times that it was by referral was much easier. Okay? So, now on the application, some hints here. Create a folder and create a kind of a file for each application. Okay? And before I go on this, let me just give you one glimpse of my personal experience. Remember in 2017 when I landed here in Canada and I got my first job? Well, at that moment, I spent, it was around 1 month to get from landing to get my job, okay? And I spent whole day applying, and I had more than 100 applications to get 26 interviews, screening interviews by phone, 8 presential interviews in person where I could talk to them, and 2 offers. Okay? Now, I had 100 applications. What if, in the middle of this process, someone just called me, say, oh, here's the recruiter of the company ABC, and I want to talk to you. Wow, nice. Let me get back to my file, my folder, and look for that, and try to find what I wrote there. And why I'm saying that? Because the application, this is a trap. Don't send your resume, make one resume and send to your 100 companies. Don't do that. Okay? What I recommend you is, based on your research, prepare your resume and customize it for that job. If they are asking for some technologies that you know, highlight those technologies, your experience to those. And then you can apply. But if you don't know what you wrote there, if you don't keep track of your records, you can forget the company, forget about the job, and so on. Another thing is, the application is, as I said, apply, apply, and apply. Don't wait for a response to then move on. Some applications, the response may take months. I personally had one, I think which took longer was 6 months. So I applied in December, and in May, I got a call from a recruiter from that company. Okay. Let me see here. It's important, of course. These things looks like they are obvious, but try to find about the culture, the company, and most important, prepare your story. One of the skills, soft skills that we need to develop, it's about the storytelling. We need to prepare a story telling why I want to work on that company, why I am a good fit for that company. Because the first stage of any process is the screening. And the screening, someone who not necessarily knows about your technical skills will interview you for looking for your soft skills, looking for your culture fit, and so on. Okay? So prepare your story. Now, one more hint. I don't want to spend so much time, but on the application is bring when you pass for the screening, you go to the tech interview, okay? And in the tech interview, one thing that I always recommend is bring them to your field. In other words, who is interviewing? And I know because I interview a lot as well, okay? We have a list of questions, and not necessarily those questions reflect what the company are working on. Are technical questions to filter the candidates. So, what I recommend is try to, again, prepare your story, prepare your portfolio, and bring them to your story. If you have a project related to some question, you can say, okay, this is the answer, and now let me bring you my experience on this, about a practical experience based on your question. And with that, you can spend half of the interview process showing that you have much more than knowledge, but experience. Okay? So this is something that is important. And that is related to what we already saw, about know yourself, your projects, and so on. Okay? Now, let's suppose, okay, this is the interview. Let's suppose you got your offer. It's very often, I got my offer. That's all. It's perfect. But let's suppose that you have had these 2 or 3 processes in parallel running. Of course, you are not telling to them that you are accepting or not. You got 2 offers, or you got 1 offer, but the other company that you want much more than that, it's delaying their process. So what you can do, first of all, you can talk to other company and say that you are running and you got an offer for other company. Don't lie, only if this is true. And then they can decide if they can accelerate the process or not. I personally had this experience, okay? My first company, Counterpath, as I said before, I got 2 offers. I got 1 offer, which was a very bad offer. And related to this, the offer was just an email saying, okay, you can start tomorrow. I had nothing of contract, salary, benefits, vacation, nothing, only that. So, but I was immigrant, just landing, I need the money. What I said, I contacted the other company and said, okay, I really liked your company, I really liked to work for you, but I received another offer. I need to get a response, if possible, by end of today. And they give. So this is something that we need to understand, that when we get a job offer, not necessarily we have to accept, but we can ask for more information. Not ever we have to accept at very beginning. Okay, we can negotiate. And finally, the onboarding. Once you accept your offer, we can get very, let's say, nervous with this offer. And okay, it's my first time, my first job here in Canada. I don't know what I have to do. So my hint to you is try to connect as much as possible with your peers, your colleagues. try to understand the problems that the company is facing. Try to understand the technology and experiment them. Learn before you have to learn there. Okay, so these will give you more chances to keep going. Okay, and the next steps: keep your eggs sharp. What this means? Keep learning and look for interviews. You remember when I said that I got 5 jobs into these 8 years, approximately, okay? The thing is, it's not that bad when you move the job, especially if you are not, of course, fired, of course. But the thing is, when I learned that in the middle of my career at Counterpath, I started to apply for some jobs, not necessarily because I want to leave, but because I want to know what the market is asking, is looking for. So I started to apply for jobs, get some interviews, and learn what they are looking. And I could learn not only by myself, but I could bring to my company the technologies that they were looking. Okay, so I was always being prepared to a move, because one thing that is, no company will hesitate to lay off a lot of people if they need to. Okay, and I had this experience. So keep your axe sharp and be open to changes. Sometimes you can get another offer, and you can consider that, okay? And then, as immigrants, you have to revisit your priorities. Sometimes you want to prioritize some company, some job that you are having lower salary, but will be a better future, more better benefits, or better immigration, but sometimes not. So there is no wrong and right answer for this, okay? This is what you have to be open to. So, yeah, that's what I was talking. Okay, what is better for you? So, I try to condensate a lot of things here. I have a lot of other things that I haven't passed, but the most important things I already covered here. Now, if you have any questions, okay?
Thanks for sharing your experience. You mentioned some frauds in competitors. Maybe you could provide some examples and some red flags we should pay attention to.
Okay, sorry, share what?
Red flags, what we should take care about the frauds.
The frauds. Okay, first of all, when you receive a message in your phone saying that you want to, oh, I am offering a really nice job, it's a scam. If you receive in your LinkedIn a message saying that, oh, your profile is, I saw your profile and it's perfect for this job, and you can see that clearly there is nothing with your profile, it's a scam. If you receive, I had this experience. It's funny because a recruiter which has no links with the company that they were recruiting for. This is important. I start to look around on the LinkedIn, the contacts and so on. So she was not working for that company. And what I did, I looked for a lot of people from that company. I connected with them and I asked them about her. And they confirmed she was working as a contractor, but she had no confirm on the LinkedIn the job. But this was an let's say exception. In general, are fake. So be very critical with the communications that you have. Don't rely, especially if they ask for money, ask for personal informations like Take a picture of your passport or your SIN number or things like this. Don't do that. Nobody here will ask you for these informations unless on the very late stage, the SIN number only for tax purpose. Okay, so I hope this. Okay. Okay.
Thank you for your talk and congratulations for your career path. I have a doubt. Recently, I had a screening call and I'm still working for Brazil. And I started in January this year. And the recruiter asked me, I see that you started your job in January. Why are you looking for a new job? My honest answer could be because I want to be paid in dollars, not in Brazilian reals, but obviously I didn't answer that. But I would like to know, in your opinion, what would be a good answer for this question in that context? Because I'm happy with my job, but when I divide it into four, it's not good. So you can that why I'm looking for a job here in Canada.
Okay, so just to be clear, you said that you started in January to work in a Brazilian company? Okay, and okay, now when you receive a contact from here, an interviewer, a recruiter from here, and they ask this question, what you can say is, wow, I am here in Canada and I want to immigrate to here, or I want to get more about this environment, this culture. So again, be sincere and bring this why you are applying for a job here. Okay, so there is no. I would say that here is much better, much simpler to answer this kind of question than in Brazil. Because in Brazil, if they ask something like that, sometimes are tricky questions. They want to just to catch you in some mistake.
That was my fear.
Yeah, here is not like that.
More questions? One. Two. Thanks, Eduardo.
Thank you so much.